Listen to me. There are forces plotting your downfall right now. Spiritual attacks you don't even see coming. But guess what? You're not here to be a victim. You're here to dominate, to fight back, spiritually and relentlessly. This is not your average prayer video. This is a war cry, a divine decree to destroy every evil scheme aimed at your life. If you felt blocked, attacked, or like darkness has been closing in, this prayer is your weapon. You were never meant to bow to fear. You were built to break curses. Let's get to work. Recognize the battle is real. Don't kid yourself. This life is not a playground, it's a battlefield. Evil is not some abstract idea or superstition. It's a calculated force that moves through people, through situations, through moments of weakness and distraction. And let me tell you something hard and honest. Evil doesn't sleep. It doesn't take weekends off. It doesn't care about your plans, your peace, your dreams. The moment you decided to level up, the moment you started breaking generational curses, the moment you started walking in purpose and speaking truth, you became a threat. That's why you feel the pressure. That's why it feels like every time you take one step forward, something tries to drag you 2 steps back. It's not random. It's spiritual warfare, and it's realer than you think. The devil doesn't waste resources on people who aren't doing damage to his kingdom. If you're feeling attacked, if your relationships are falling apart, if confusion is clouding your mind, or if your peace is under siege, it's not because you're weak. It's because you're carrying something powerful, something world-changing. You are a weapon in the hands of God, and the enemy knows it. That's why he's trying to distract you, discourage you, and defeat you before you realize who you really are. You're not just here to survive. You're here to wage war against every demonic agenda trying to stop you. You're here to pull down strongholds, to speak life in the midst of chaos, to walk into darkness and radiate divine power. But you can't do any of that while sleeping on the reality of this fight. You've got to wake up. You've got to rise up. You've got to look the devil in the face and say, not today, not in my house, not in my mind, not in my future. Stop acting like the attack is bigger than your calling. Stop agreeing with fear, with depression, with failure. Those are not your portion. You were made for fire. You were made for storms. You were made to stand when others fall. But standing takes awareness. It takes spiritual aggression. You don't fight spiritual battles with soft prayers and wishful thinking. You fight with fire, holy fire. You speak with boldness. You walk in truth. You armor up every day, because the moment you let your guard down, the enemy will try to creep in. But here's the truth he doesn't want you to realize. You're already equipped. You have authority. You have power. You have the blood of Jesus, and nothing in hell can override that. So stop doubting your strength. Stop underestimating your purpose. The battle is real, but so are you. And when you show up with conviction, with prayer, with relentless faith, evil has no choice but to flee. This is war, and you were born for it. Declare with authority, not anxiety. You don't tiptoe around darkness. You confront it with holy boldness. You don't whisper your way into victory. You roar into it. When evil rises up against you, when the enemy starts scheming behind your back, when demonic forces try to creep into your life, you don't shrink. You don't panic. You don't negotiate. You rise up with spiritual confidence and speak like someone who knows who they are and who they belong to. You are not a beggar in the kingdom. You are a king, a queen, a chosen warrior of God. And that means when you speak, heaven listens and hell trembles. Stop praying weak, fear-soaked prayers. Stop asking the darkness to please leave you alone. You don't ask evil to go. You cast it out. You expel it. You obliterate it with the power of your words, backed by the authority of your Creator. The Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Not beg the devil, not cry your way through the attack. Resist. That means stand tall. That means fight back. That means open your mouth with conviction and say, I rebuke every evil force, every demonic trap, every curse spoken over me. I cancel it by the fire of God. This is spiritual warfare. This is not a game. If you don't speak with authority, you give the enemy room to invade. But when you declare your victory, when you align your words with divine power, you shift the entire atmosphere. Chains break, fear melts, strongholds collapse. Because authority isn't about volume, it's about conviction. You don't have to scream to win, you have to believe. When your words are fueled by faith, they carry weight. And when you declare truth with confidence, darkness has no choice but to back down. So I challenge you, pray like a warrior. Declare like a general. Speak like someone who's already won. Because you have. Jesus didn't die for you to live in fear. He died to give you dominion. That means you have every right to stand in your room, raise your hands, and say with fire, every assignment of the enemy is destroyed. Every arrow fired against me is returned to sender. I walk in divine protection, divine clarity, divine victory. Say it, believe it, live it. You are not a victim. You are not powerless. You are a living, breathing weapon formed by the hands of God. You carry His Spirit. You walk in His promise. And no evil can touch what God has covered. Power flows where faith goes. And faith doesn't whisper in fear. It declares in fire. So rise up today and declare your freedom, your strength, your calling. Because fear has no seat in a warrior spirit. And you, my friend, are born to conquer. Just because your family suffered doesn't mean you have to. Let that sink in. Poverty, addiction, divorce, abuse, sickness, shame, fear. Those things may have ruled your bloodline, but they end with you. You were not born to repeat history, you were born to rewrite it. You are the curse breaker, the one who was chosen to disrupt the pattern, to sever the spiritual cords that have bound your family for generations. That means you have to fight harder, pray louder, and stand firmer than anyone before you ever did. Because this battle isn't just about you. It's about your children, your children's children, and every generation that comes after you. It's time to stop accepting the lie that this is just how it is. That's a lazy mindset. That's a defeated mindset. That's a demonic mindset. You don't inherit dysfunction. You allow it when you don't confront it. And confronting it starts with the power of your words. Life and death are in the tongue, so you better speak like your future depends on it, because it does. Right now, declare this with fire in your spirit. Every curse, every chain, every demonic tie. I break it now in the name of Jesus. Say it again. Say it until hell trembles and heaven moves. You're not begging for freedom. You're claiming it. Understand this. Curses don't break by accident. They don't break by luck. They break when someone rises up in bold, fearless faith. Someone who says, I don't care what ran in my family. I'm not letting it run through me. That someone is you. You've been chosen by God to rise, to resist, to rewire what's been broken. And yes, it's hard. Breaking what's generational is hard because it's deep, it's spiritual. But guess what? You're not soft, you're not weak, you're not average. You were built for battle. This is war, but you've got a weapon, prayer. And not soft, safe prayer. Violent, faith-filled prayer that shatters chains in the spirit realm. The enemy has no authority where Jesus reigns, and Jesus reigns over your bloodline now. That means sickness, canceled. Poverty, canceled. Mental torment, canceled. Generational fear, canceled. You are the line in the sand. You are the Moses in your family, called to lead them out of bondage. You are the wrecking ball to hell's agenda. So what are you waiting for? Pray like your family's freedom depends on it, because it does. Walk like the chains are already broken, because they are. Speak life. Walk in purpose and refuse to bow to what crushed the people before you. They may have fallen, but you will rise. You will overcome. The pain stops with you. The curse ends here. The legacy rewritten. And your name forever marked as the one who stood up and said, enough. You're not alone in this battle, no matter how dark it feels, no matter how silent the world gets when you're under attack. Just because you can't see the warfare doesn't mean it isn't happening. You have to understand there is a spiritual realm more real than what you can touch, taste, or feel. And in that realm, you are not defenseless. You are not weak. Heaven has already equipped you with power, and part of that power is angelic protection. But here's the catch. It's activated by your voice. You can't sit in silence and expect angels to move. Psalm 91 says, he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. That's not a suggestion, it's a promise. But promises are only powerful when you grab them and enforce them with faith. Heaven has an army, but that army needs a signal from you. Every general gives orders before troops move. You are that general. God has placed authority in your mouth. You don't have to see wings or feel goosebumps to know they're working. Angels respond to your words when your words align with faith and purpose. Every time you say, God, send angels to surround my children, something in the supernatural shifts. When you say, I declare angelic presence over my home, you're not just speaking air. You're setting guards at every gate of your life. They are real, they are mighty, and they respond to commanded faith, not casual wishes. This isn't not a fairy tale. This is warfare. You're being stalked by an enemy who doesn't fight fair. Demons don't knock politely. They try to barge into your finances, your peace, your purpose. But they can't stand where God's angels stand guard. Every time you pray with fire and authority, you're lighting up the battlefield. Every time you declare, I'm covered, I'm shielded, I'm untouchable by darkness, angels draw their swords. And the best part? You're not fighting for the victory. That means you're not trying to win. You've already won. Jesus gave you the edge. He paid the price. Your job now is to enforce that victory by faith. Stop walking around like prey when you've been given the backing of heaven's army. Stop doubting your covering just because the pressure feels heavy. Pressure is proof that the enemy's losing ground. Start declaring protection over every part of your life. Say it with boldness. God, dispatch angels around my mind. No more mental attacks. Dispatch angels around my house. No more sleepless nights. Dispatch angels around my business. No more sabotage. Every demon must flee. Say it, mean it, command it, because when you speak in faith, you don't just get protected, you become untouchable. Heaven responds to fire. And you, my friend, are on fire. Fear is a liar. It whispers defeat before the battle even begins. It tries to paralyze you, to shrink your vision, to silence your voice. But listen, fear is a weapon of the enemy, and it's only powerful when you submit to it. You weren't born to be timid. You were born to be terrifying to the forces of darkness. That inner shaking you feel when you're about to step into something big, that's not fear defeating you. That's destiny knocking and fear trying to hold the door shut. But you're not here to back down. You're here to break through. Say this with every fiber in your being. I reject fear. I reject doubt. I am covered by power, by purpose, by God himself. That's not a suggestion. It's a battle cry. The moment you make fear your enemy instead of your master, everything changes. You start to think different, walk different, pray different. You stop asking, what if I fail, and start declaring, I was built to win. And don't you dare entertain that voice in your head that says you're not good enough, not ready, not worthy, because that voice isn't from God. That voice is fear disguised as logic. And it's got to go. Look around, this world is burning with chaos. The enemy wants you scared, scared of stepping out, scared of speaking truth, scared of becoming who you were truly meant to be. Why? Because a fearless believer is a dangerous weapon. When you reject fear, you become untouchable. You start living in divine confidence. You wake up knowing the devil is already on the run because you're alive, breathing, and fully activated. Evil can't stand boldness. Demons don't dwell where faith is fierce. Fear has no room in a heart that's on fire. You weren't created to survive. You weren't sent here to just get by, to blend in, to play it safe. You were created to dominate, to rule with wisdom, to walk in truth, to shatter every ceiling and dismantle every curse with your voice, your actions, your prayers. God didn't put you on this earth to tiptoe through life hoping to avoid conflict. He put you here to flip tables, cast out darkness, and lead. You are not the hunted, you are the hunter. Fear doesn't belong in your DNA. So light yourself on fire with courage. Burn every excuse to the ground. Be loud, be bold, be ruthless against everything that tries to intimidate your purpose. And never forget this, fear may show up at your door, but it has no right to live in your house. When it sees you covered in the blood, armed with faith and roaring with authority, it runs. Evil flees when it hears your roar. So roar. Roar like you've already won, because you have. No more playing small, no more spiritual laziness, no more tolerating darkness in your life. Today, you made a decision that shifted atmospheres. You drew a line in the sand, and you didn't just whisper it, you roared it into the heavens. No more. And let me tell you something. Heaven didn't just hear you, it stood at attention. The moment you opened your mouth in boldness, angelic forces were dispatched, divine authority was activated, and every assignment of the enemy began to crumble under the weight of your faith. This isn't just another prayer. This is a spiritual nuke. This is a declaration of war against every lie, every limit, every lingering shadow that dared to stand between you and your divine destiny. When you spoke those words, every evil plan has failed. You canceled contracts written in darkness. You shattered chains that have been in your bloodline for generations. You ended cycles of defeat that were never meant to continue, because truth be told, you're not just praying for protection. You're enforcing heaven's legal right over your life. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are not under demonic authority. You are seated in heavenly places, backed by the power that raised Christ from the dead, and every knee in hell must bow when you speak in alignment with that power. Your path is protected, not maybe, not sometimes, not if you pray hard enough. It is protected because you belong to the Most High. When you walk into a room, light invades darkness. When you speak, principalities shake. And when you pray like this, with conviction, with fire, with spiritual confidence, you declare to every monitoring spirit, every witch, every demonic system, access denied. You are not a target, you are a threat. You are not the hunted, you are the hunter. You are not vulnerable, you are covered in the armor of God, and no weapon, none, formed against you will ever prosper. And your future is fireproof because it's been forged in trials, refined by pain, and sealed with purpose. Every setback was training. Every attack was resistance for your rise. You don't just survive, you ascend. You don't just make it, you dominate, because you walk in power. Not borrowed power, not temporary power, but divine, unshakable, blood-bought power. The kind that makes demons flee and destinies unfold. You walk in purpose. The reason you were born, the assignment hell couldn't stop, the calling heaven has equipped you for, and most importantly, you walk in peace. Not the peace of this world, but the peace that surpasses all understanding. The peace that says, no matter what comes, I am covered. So declare it again. Every evil plan has failed. My path is protected. My future is fireproof. I walk in power, in purpose, in peace. It's not just a prayer. That's a verdict, a divine sentence over your life. And as far as heaven is concerned, that is the final word. You're not soft. You're not average. You are battle-grown. Every day you wake up, evil loses ground. So walk like the warrior you are. This isn't just a prayer. It's a declaration of dominance. Hit that like, drop the comments, and remember, you are the curse breaker. You are the warrior. And the enemy's plans, dead on arrival.